All right, guys. So first of all, the global crypto market cap for today is sitting at $1.67 trillion, or a 4% decrease over the last day. Just a few weeks back, we saw a global crypto market cap sitting at $2 trillion. A lot of those gains have been going down for a number of reasons. One of those mainly is just the instability that we're getting right now with talks of a potential war, with Russia wanting to invade Ukraine, and a lot of the focus is on conversation that we had during last week. Now, let's talk about if this is actually going to come into fruition. Is this something of legitimate concern? Will this affect the markets even more? Should you be selling now, or is this a good time to buy? So within our Discord group, we got a lot of questions and mentions on asking just me, should we be buying on Friday? I did expect a further dip to happen short term. I still do expect a further dip to happen later in March. On the more optimistic side, I was hoping that Bitcoin at least be able to break out of $45,000, maybe even towards $50,000 for the month of February, just because March we do have more aspiring dates that are going to have a critical impact on the market, which is going to be those rate hikes that we've been talking a lot about on this channel. If you guys are aware of a lot of these updates coming up, make sure that you are preparing yourself as an investor. This doesn't mean that you should be panic selling at every moment in time. It just means that if you're aware of it and you have a game plan, whether that game plan is to go long, hodl through these times, that is completely viable as well. Going through the market, you guys will notice Bitcoin is sitting at $37,000. The key support level that we wanted to stay above would have been $40,000. That is the easy psychological resistance and support levels that many crypto enthusiasts look at, whether you're a short-term day trader or a long-term investor. People like to stay above that $40,000 threshold, and that is really where we can start seeing more progression going upward. Just because we fell underneath that doesn't mean it's all particularly bad news. If we go into the last 7 days, what you'll notice is we have been dipping down in price. Even today, we are still seeing a bit more red. So I know sentiment on days like this can be a little bit more shot up. But if you guys were paying attention at what was happening even this morning, we actually saw the price of Bitcoin bouncing up pretty fast. So the reason for this, what I believe is during Monday through Friday, these are normal week days where institutions who start to resume and go back to their corporate offices where will have accessibility to make purchases on positions. So if over the weekend we get volatility coming from retail investors or other whales that aren't limited to those institutions, Monday when the markets open up and they are seeing these buy orders and they can execute them, usually I believe that's when we do see a bounce back in the market. But quickly, what you'll see today, a lot of that was actually short-lived. We had that bounce back up, closing back in on $40,000, dipping back down to $37,000, and at the end of Monday today, sitting at $37,000 again. So taking a look at Bitcoin, obviously, no one knows what's going to happen with Bitcoin next. I mentioned this a lot. We can draw a lot of lines. We can take a look at the MAs and see hundreds of different golden crosses, death crosses happening. It's good to know. It paints a story. It does help us. But in the grand scheme of things, with the volatility of crypto and seeing news on regulation and central bank policies, that is always going to skew and really have a stronger impact on the market. As investors, if you have your position set aside, if you know what your game plan has been, stick by it. Don't let your emotions get ahead of you. And on days like this, when the entire market is extremely fearful, just be careful. I do know it's really easy to get caught up in, seeing the red in the portfolio and seeing it go up and down. It's just an emotional roller coaster. But over time, you get used to these volatility swings and you'll realize that the days are never cloudy forever. Okay, the days will not forever be grim where Bitcoin is just consolidating for the rest of its time. When we get adoption like we're seeing, even with other countries, there's just no way that an asset like this will continue to stand still for the rest of the time. So just be patient in a market like this. I think that's the biggest takeaway that we can have within the sentiment of what we're seeing today. Joe Carpenter says, yo, Brian, nice seeing you live. Bruh, I appreciate you for tuning by, my people. Yeah, and crypto is not closed. That's a really good point right there. Crypto is not closed like the stock market. It's always open 24/7. But when we do take a look at on-chain analysis and data, we do get fluctuations between different exchanges on certain times of the week. So what we saw with data previously before in the past, it was all over the place. When institutions and a lot of larger investments weren't playing the 9 to 5 or the regular Monday through Friday weekdays, we did see an average of consistent investments, of volatility and spreads evening out during the beginning of the crypto cycle. But as we continue to progress throughout these next few years, and you notice that we do have big money coming in, they are going to follow a strict schedule. They're going to follow a pattern that we're going to start to notice as well. It's just hard to gauge what patterns are going to happen in the future when the future has not been written yet, and things that have happened in the past is completely irrelevant to a lot of the innovation that's going on right now. So one thing I want to take a note of is Ethereum. Ethereum is always going to be a viable play for anyone who is, wants to have a little bit of a higher return than it comes to investing into Bitcoin. But you do also want to play a bit of a safer side than it comes to investing into alts. What you'll notice today is that although Ethereum is down about 1% in the last 24 hours, the 7-day losses seem to be pretty consistent within the market with a lot of the altcoins. You will see some outliers, like Cardano is down 18% compared to, let's say, Binance. No, this is Binance stablecoin. Let's compare it to even Tron, guys, 7% down compared to maybe 15 to 20% losses within certain altcoins. You have to realize volatility like this can get quickly eaten up on both ends. If we see crypto going up starting in the month of February, a lot of that can get erased very, very fast. But it doesn't mean that it's the end of the entire markets. So something that I want you guys to be pretty wary of is what we're seeing right now with Ethereum. Ethereum recently did have the conference. If you guys go into my Twitter, I liked a few posts. I posted some on my Instagram stories of Vitalik, the founder of Ethereum, getting some pretty funny photos out there. And what you guys will notice is that Ethereum is also having a few upgrades as well. Wes, thank you for the $2.99. I appreciate you, man. Ethereum's actually having their Altair upgrade, so we haven't actually heard much about what's going to happen next with that Ethereum 2.0 upgrade, but this is actually really good news. It came out a little while ago, actually October 28th, before this year had started, but it is just a reminder that Ethereum has been working towards making those improvements. So back in December 2020, just as a reminder, Altair was the first upgrade to the Beacon chain, and it would likely be the last before the merge with the Ethereum mainnet and the change to the proof of stake concept. Right now, with Ethereum still being proof of work, very similar to other cryptocurrencies where it's limited right now in those transaction fees. As we continue throughout this year and we get more progression stating this is where I believe Ethereum is going to open up. Now, in terms of just short-term price action and what we're seeing on the monthly, it does suck seeing Ethereum drop below $3,000. That is obviously a support level that we're trying to find and hold, very similar to where Bitcoin is in terms of that $40,000 level. But if you do see Ethereum dropping anywhere even below $2,200, that's always been a strong key area where you could buy it up, and immediately we've been seeing some fast bounces as well. CoinMarketCap hasn't even logged in $2,200 since the last few dips. I know other exchanges, it did flash to that number as well. But if you guys are looking to just maximize easy swing trades, that's why I always say Ethereum has been pretty easy in terms of being able to maximize just your return on investment with these swings. For now, in the last month, if you guys notice that we are sliding down $2,500, sometimes also sitting on your hands and just being patient in the market and waiting for confirmation is not a bad decision to make at all. But I do want to come out with this reminder. Over this weekend, we didn't get any terrible news going on in the market. The only solidifying effort that we're getting within actual central bank policy, I believe, is the fact that rate hikes are coming. More articles, more Fox 5 news, whatever you guys want to call it, fake news, CNN, whatever your source is. We're just getting more and more news that rate hikes are coming, and that is going to spook a lot of investors, and that tends to put us in a downward trajectory move. But in addition to that, we did get some bad news on the NFT side. This is nothing to do within the NFT market itself, but it's something that we definitely want to take a note of, and this is actually going to be the OpenSea issue that we had. So OpenSea, they had a pretty bad hack. So let me find the actual article. President, Ethereum, Russia. Where is it at, Brian Jungi? Right here. So a hacker went ahead and stole millions of dollars worth of NFTs from OpenSea users over the weekend. If you guys have heard about NFTs, you probably have heard of OpenSea. It's one of the largest platforms that had a valuation of billions of dollars, getting a lot of venture capitalist funding over this last year. And apparently there was a issue within their script. So this is right now an ongoing developing story. OpenSea did a terrible job in disclosing what the heck was going on. People were freaking out within the crypto community. They thought OpenSea was completely compromised and they didn't understand the implication of how far this went. OpenSea did come out with an update. This was one of their most recent ones coming out earlier today. Our team has been working around the clock to investigate the specific details of this phishing attack. While we haven't yet determined the exact source, we want to share a couple of EOD updates or end-of-day updates. Number one, we've narrowed down the list of impacted individuals to 17 rather than the previously mentioned 32. Our original count included anyone who had interacted with the attacker rather than those who were victims of the phishing attack. The attack does not appear to be active at this time. There's been no activity on this malicious contract in the last 15 hours, and they stated we'll keep you updated as we continue to investigate. A lot of verified users on Twitter, they were coming out and they're voicing their they were pretty disgruntled. I believe one of them was Andrew Wang, if that was his name. I remember he did mention and tagged OpenSea and one of their developers as well, just talking about how it's just frustrating it was for the entire space. One of the users that did get caught where they actually had a lot of their NFTs liquidated was this individual here, the King Goalie. I've been following along on a lot of his tweets. They haven't been getting too much mainstream attraction, but yeah, actually, Andrew Wang, here it is. They haven't been getting too much mainstream attraction, but he has been talking about doing his own investigation and seeing how he was getting hacked. Some of this is kind of funny. He had a lot of his NFTs hacked, but his crappier ones, the hacker ended up sending it back to him. A little bit of a troll. You know, the crypto space is always a little bit of half trolls and some funniness in the space. But when it comes to, you know, people's life savings, I think that is no joke right there. It sucks when you open your account. You've worked hard to grow your portfolio, say from $1,000 to $100,000 or even the seven-figure mark, and all of that ends up being gone. The big takeaway here is if you guys are in crypto, do not ever open an email account unless it's coming from a verified domain address. Make sure you never click on an email account unless you are 100% sure that it was you requesting for certain information. The debate right now is whether or not OpenSea did have a bug within their code that they never addressed that came up, which is a theory that I am leaning more towards right now. OpenSea will not want to admit that. If they show that they had any flaw within their system, it's going to take away from a lot of the credibility and a lot of the money and a lot of the investors that have been backing them. They're going to disappoint a lot of people, but this is also going to make space for other exchanges to come on board. I think right now it's just so important for us to make sure as we continue to navigate this space, and while regulation is still up in the air on both sides, be careful about what you open. Even with your own crypto, you want to be very careful about even the exchanges you use or how you lock down your MetaMask, your hot wallet, your cold storage wallet. For me personally, I like using cold storage wallets. And if I'm ensuring I'm not earning some type of yield that I can get from another exchange, or if there's a staking protocol where I can emphasize the amount of gains I can get. If you guys don't know what any of that means, just think about this. If I was using Crypto.com, they have the Crypto.com Visa card. In order for me to access that, I have to stake CRO, which is their native token. I'm not going to be able to do that on a cold storage wallet. This is income that I would lock away, kind of like a 401k. I know that it's going to be safe as long as my physical keywords are not visible to the public, that is stored away somewhere safe. And these are all steps that we should just be taking. There's just so much fraud going on in this space, and the last thing you want is for you to get burned. A lot of people get burned and they never want to get back into crypto again. And the cool thing is you can make sure that it doesn't happen to you. You can take all the precautions that you have. You can really lock down your security. But the matter of the truth is, because crypto is decentralized, this can happen to anyone. So just be careful out here.